21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.
What's the difference between the wealthy and those that just get by? Like, what's the difference between being an entrepreneur that will sustain for multiple generations or an entrepreneur that's on the status quo, like the 21st century entrepreneurship, as they say? Well, I'm going to share with you in this video, in this conversation with Martin here, 3 principles that can really fill the gap between the wealthy and those that are just getting by in their business, in their money, and in their speaking. Stay tuned. Growing up, I had a lot of voids in my life. My dad had passed away at 29 years old of a massive heart attack. I was only about 3 months when my dad passed. So I had to grow quickly and I made a lot of mistakes growing up. But I was always curious growing up and I would always study science. Science was one of my favorite subjects because I could literally try something and then have a thought about it and then test it and then see if it works and then do it over again. And I was very, very interested in what I call the principles growing up. And what I found that in business, when I made the switch to go into entrepreneurship, is that there's also certain laws in science behind the laws that govern success. And I mean, if you're anything like me, I have my master's degree, my bachelor's degree, my sociology degree. Like, I went to formal education, but unfortunately, I can't say that formal education gave me the education that I needed to be an entrepreneur, that I needed to run my business, manage my money, and then learn the power of speaking to grow and to fulfill my calling. So I had to learn the hard way, right? I had to go through, with like many of us, right? We've had to go the long route, right? We have to fall on our face, get back up. And I'm so thankful for my 3 M's, and I'll call it number 4 as well. I'm thankful for Martin, number 1, for giving me the opportunity to share with all of you. I'm thankful for my maker, God, who gave me the ability to even learn. And number 2, I'm thankful for my mistakes, if you will. And I'm thankful for my mentors. And the education that you get will always determine the place that you will be left off in. So in this segment, I want to teach you 3 principles that are very easy and simple. I'm going to share some stories as well, that it's critical to understand these principles if you want to be successful in the 21st century and beyond when it comes to business, money, and speaking. When I first got started in business, I know I had a great idea, a great product, great service, great vision, but I didn't know how to get it out there. And I made so many mistakes. I probably wasted at least 5 years of my life going around in circles. So if I would have had this understanding first, I would have been in such a better place. So the first principle that I want to talk to you guys about is the principle of conditions. Okay, the principle of conditions. And really quickly, this principle, this law is so important that this will not only help you in business, not only help you with your money or speaking, like this principle, I got news for you. This is about to impact everything. Like not only your business life or your professional life, but this is about to give you perspective on your personal life, relationships, and you're going to be able to see things in other people that you probably didn't see before. And it's going to give you clarity so you can not only help yourself, but help them as well. And this is why it's so important for you to really hone in on this principle, because it's not only about you, it's about also using your gifts to serve others. So here's how it goes. Number 1, when I look at conditions, right, or circumstances, as we say, I'm always reminded of a fish. Now, let me explain it this way. One day there was a fish. There was a fish in a certain part of the ocean, right? And this fish, let me tell you something. This fish is not like Finding Nemo. This fish was trying to find food. This fish was hungry. I mean, this fish was starving. And he was swimming around, Martin, and trying to find like the food that he can eat. And then all of a sudden he comes in front of a shrimp. And he's like, okay, it's game over. He's like me. I like seafood too. And he's like, this shrimp is mine. So he scans first. He scans around. He makes sure there's nothing to his left, nothing to his right. He's looking around behind him. He's trying to make sure that he's scanning for no predators, right? And in his mind, he's like, okay, cool. There's no predators. So he makes his dash towards the shrimp so he can go ahead and eat the shrimp. And then right when he's about to eat the shrimp with his mouth wide open, out of nowhere, Martin, a bigger fish comes out of nowhere and literally takes the shrimp, number one. Number two, skins him. So he actually gets hurt. The fish that was trying to get the food gets hurt. So now he's kind of like injured. He's bleeding. And number three, he's like terrified, right? So number one, the fish lost his meal. He got injured, and now he's hurt and terrified, right? Those are the 3 points. Here's what the fish does. He runs away. He's running away for good feature because he's trying to protect his life. So he's terrified. He runs away from the situation. And then some time passed, Martin. But by this time, this fish has swum all the way to a whole nother side of the ocean. Like he's all the way down to another location. Like it's all about new circumstances, new conditions. Like he's in a totally new place, right? And now he's really, really hungry. Like he's like hungry. And he's still looking for food, right? And then again, he sees a shrimp. And he's like, okay, this one is mine this time. And he does what he did before. He looks around to see who's around, right? And he's like, okay, I'm good to go. There's no predators. And Martin, he's about to go and eat the shrimp. He makes his dash. He's about to go and eat the shrimp. And right when he's about to eat the shrimp, he swims away because he fears that it's going to happen again. Now, here's the thing. There was no predator. It was actually clear. He gave a good assessment. But he ran away. He swam away from the shrimp, excuse me. What does this have to do with entrepreneurship in the 21st century and beyond, Martin? Well, let me tell you something. A lot of people that get into entrepreneurship, because of past experience, because of past conditions, they take the past and they try to portray it in the future, and they get paralyzed. They make wrong decisions. They get set back, and they're limited just because they had a bad experience somewhere else. Or worse off, they compare a bad experience that they went through or a bad business relationship or whatever, and now they start portraying that and casting into the future. So here's what happened, Martin. They're freed from the past, but because they keep portraying the past to the future, they repeat cycles and they stay stuck. And this is where I was, Martin. I was stuck because I didn't understand. Okay, look, I had to get the right education. I had to renew my mind to let go of the past and not just think like, okay, my past circumstances, my past conditions, the things that I went through, that's not going to be my future. And I'm not going to let my past define my present or my future. I'm going to renew my mind. I'm going to believe. I'm going to inspire some hope, right, in 21st century entrepreneurship, and I'm going to move forward. And that's a lesson that I really would love for everybody to meditate on. And it may not even be for you, but it may be someone around you that you see them as well. You see them stuck. And you have the opportunity to come beside them and help them. Now, here's how you're able to help someone that's stuck in a pattern like that. Okay? Here's what happens. When you're able to do it, like if you're able to catch the shrimp and show them like you being less than can do it, they're going to say, wait a second, if she can do it, I can do it. If he can do it, I can do it. So this leads me to entrepreneurship. This leads me to many of you being the first in your family to become a millionaire. That's what I've done by God's grace. First in your family to start a business. First in your family to write a book. Shout out to Martin's book, The Story Works, powerful book on speaking, helping you with storytelling and development. I mean, when you understand that you have a responsibility to create inspiration in your life and your loved ones around you, that's what's going to help bring hope again so you can help people get unstuck. And I'm here to tell you that if you're stuck, you can get out of your unstuck. Like you can get out of your situation that you feel stuck. There's a way for you. There's hope for you. It's not over yet. You're talking to a boy, by the way, whose dad died at 29 years old. I was about 3 months when my dad died. I went through a lot growing up, made a lot of mistakes in all the wrong places, things that I still have to deal with today. And I've been able to grow a successful company, been able to grow a business and create some wealth in my family and my future generations. And I've been able to use speaking to do so, right? I'm no better than anyone else. I just had to get unstuck. I had to face my fears. I had to face my trials. And again, I want to encourage you to do the same. And that's principle number one. The second principle that I want to teach you is a principle. It's called the principle of the leak and the what I call the beach of abundance. So really quickly, let's imagine for those of you that live by the sea or live by water, this will be easy to imagine. But for some of us that don't live by the sea, imagine that you live by the sea, right? And let's imagine that this sea or this ocean represented abundance. Like all the sales that you want, all the growth that you want, all the speaking opportunities that you want, all the growth that you want, are the relationships that you desire are in this ocean, right? And let's imagine for a second that about 100 feet from the water line of the ocean, 100 feet, there's this beautiful table. And on this table, Martin, we have small containers, we have some medium-sized containers, we have some really, really big containers, and then we have some like large containers, right? And here's what I want people to know and to really remember. Every container, they all have one thing in common, okay? And that's that they all have a leak inside of them. They all have a hole inside of them. So what that means is, as water is going into the container, water is also coming out at the same speed, if not faster, okay? Because it has a leak. Now, here's the other component of this story. There's also this huge funnel system, like a bucket, that's on the side of the table that represents everything you get to keep. It's separate from the table, but it's near the table. And that represents like your bucket where any water that you get into that bucket, you get to keep. And the capacity of that bucket is infinity and beyond. Okay. So let's recap really quickly. You have an ocean of abundance that represents more sales, more leads, more growth, more opportunities, more speaking opportunities, more relationships. It has everything that you desire. Then we have a nice, beautiful beach. And about 100 feet from the waterline of the ocean, there's this beautiful table with different sized containers, small, large, medium, and very large. And every container has a leak inside of them. So as water is going in, it's also going out at the same rate or faster. And then on the side of the table, a little bit off of the table, there's this huge bucket that's like a funnel that represents everything that you can get to keep. And the capacity of that bucket is infinity and beyond. Okay? So here's the way the story goes. Let's imagine for a second that you're in front of the table and you grab a container. I'm going to go somewhere with this. It's going to be a breakthrough for many of you. And let's imagine you grab that container and then you walk to the ocean so you can go and get more water, right? And then let's imagine that you walk 100 feet from the ocean line and you walk to the table. Let's imagine for a second that when you walk to the table and you go to your bucket, when you go to transfer the water that you think's in your container, what do you think they're going to find, Martin? They're not going to find much water in their container because their container has a hole, right? So they try to go grab some water in the ocean. They walk back to the bucket. They try to pour in the water that they think's in the container, but then they realize, wait a second, there's no water because there's a leak. It's been leaking the 100 feet that I've been walking. So what does 85% of people do, or 85% of entrepreneurs do, I should say? 85% of entrepreneurs, they go back to the table. They throw away, by the way, the container that they have in their hand. They throw it. They're like, this doesn't work. And they go back to the table. They grab the best, shiny, biggest container that they can, and they repeat the cycle, Martin, over and over and over again until they come to a realization. Wait a second. It doesn't matter how much more water I try to go after and fill my container to put it into my bucket so I can keep it. Like it doesn't matter how much more sales I get. Like if I have leaks in my business, if I have leaks in my container, I first have to plug in my leaks. So then as I go for more, I get to keep more of what I capture. And this is the biggest lesson that I could teach someone, Martin, in entrepreneurship is like, we've been sold a narrative that you just have to grow, 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 and scale. That's so important. But we got to make sure that we have the right systems and structure in place. And we got to make sure that we have the right our leaks plugged in. So as we go for more, we can actually keep more of what we capture. Because entrepreneurship is not about just making money, but it's about keeping the money, right? And I meet a lot of entrepreneurs that they make a lot of money, but they lose a lot of money because they don't have the right systems in place because they have leaks. Typically, every entrepreneur has at least one leak that's costing them several hundred thousand on the low end to several millions, on tens of millions to some of you. And the reality is that it could be solved if they just humble themselves. That's another law. It's called the law of humility. Your humility has to 20x your abilities. You can never allow your abilities to go over your humility. But if you let your humility go 10x your abilities, you'll always continue to grow because you'll be open to learn and open to understand that what got you to a certain revenue point won't get you to the next. Like there's different levels to this. And as we grow, we may need other people to come in to like share with us and like to point at us like where our leaks are so we can plug in our leaks so we can keep more of what we're making, but more importantly, scale in a healthy way and grow in a healthy way, right? So that's the principle of the leak. And that leak, by the way, Martin, is like a linchpin. The word linchpin is kind of like the definition is the little pin that holds all the growth back. In America, we have the what we call the Hoover Dam, and the Hoover Dam is literally one of the biggest dams that is literally holding back the force of all that power of water. And essentially, if the Hoover Dam ever opens up, God forbid, it's said that it would flood literally 4 states. That's how much water is being held back. So the leak in people, typically people have one, sometimes they have 2 or 3, right? Just depends. We have a process where we go through and we unlock and really unlock all of their blind spots. But essentially, it's typically one. Once that one is identified, Martin, it's literally like the Hoover Dam. It's like the thing that's holding back all the growth in the company, right? So that's the second principle, the second law, the principle of the leak. Principle number 3 is something that really hones really deeply with my heart because a lot of people call me the impact architect because I literally sit down with CEOs, entrepreneurs, and I sit down and I map out their multi-7 to multi-8-figure plan. And I do a lot to go over, their blind spots and their leaks. And I love talking about impact because that's what I'm about. But more importantly, the people that I connect with, they're also about impact. And here's the reality: in order to make an impact, here are some of the things you're going to need. Like, number one, like if you want to reach hundreds of thousands of people, and we have a Facebook community of over 350,000 people, so I'm speaking from personal experience, you're going to need millions of dollars to do so. Like, and even if you want to reach tens of thousands of people, you're going to need millions of dollars to do so. So we can all agree, especially with entrepreneurship in the 21st century and beyond, that if you want to make an impact, a lasting impact, you're going to need the income and the actual resources to do so, right? So everybody typically is like, yes, I agree with that, right? Because that makes sense. So there's actually a principle and specific steps that you can take to almost guarantee your impact every single time. It's not like, theory, it's not guessing, it's actually a law. And when I teach the principle, I typically will teach on 2 other underlining principles as well to kind of support it. But once you hear this, you're going to, number one, instantly say, this is the answer. Like you're going to hear the whole thing. You'll be like, yep, that's exactly what it is. Like you're not even going to argue it. You're also going to say, why didn't someone teach me this when I first got started or even before I got started? Because it probably would have saved you a lot of time, and it probably would have saved you a lot of money as well. But time is worth infinitely more than money. So that's huge. And you're gonna take the steps of saying, you know what? I gotta really hone in on this, and I gotta implement this, and I gotta find help, whether it's reaching out to us or reaching out to somebody else. But you're gonna instantly, your eyes are gonna open up and say, yep, this is exactly what I've been praying for. Right? So here's how it goes. Number one, the first step of the law or the process of impact is education. Now, when I say education, instantly people want to think of like college here in America, like going for university. And that's not the education that I'm referring to, even though that education is important for like if you're going for like a trade school, or if you're like a doctor or a lawyer or something an engineer that you need to actually go to school. But here's an interesting fact. Back in 1902, a man by the name of John D. Rockefeller, he said these words here in America. He said, I don't want a nation of thinkers, but I want a nation of workers. And he was very influential in what we call the General Education Board, which is where here in the United States of America, we get all of our curriculum from. So in other words, this man wanted to create workers, wanted to create, hired slaves, for a lack of a better word. And that's why the university system today, the college system here in America and abroad, typically teaches people how to become employees, right? Typically teaches them how to work, but not think, right? And there's a problem with that education, because when you limit people from thinking and reading and being creative and using speaking and using their voice, you're going to limit their ability of financial increase, and you're also going to limit their health. Now, I don't have time to go into the agenda on how there's been an attack on people's health and education and their finances, but you could do research on that on your own. I'm just here to solidify that education is important, but it's not the traditional education. So some of you are like, yes, Israel, I get it. So what's the answer? The answer is specialized education. It's learning from someone that has already done what you want to do and investing what it takes to work with that person. Now, we have a great opportunity of just reading books and learning that way. But if you can spend some time with someone helping you directly, that's always going to be the fastest route, because it's going to save you time. Now, once you have the right education, that leads to step number 2, as long as you have the right education, and that's system development. You see, the wealthy understand and the 1% understand. By the way, just a fun fact, people that generate $65 million a year, US, are part of the 1% of the 1%, okay? The wealthy understand, the top 1%, even the top 5%, we understand that systems build wealth. We understand that assets and systems build wealth. You don't need more knowledge to make more money. You don't need more integrity, even though those two things are important. Like, you need assets and systems, right? So number 2 is about developing systems that unlock and build value in a certain market that you want to serve. Now, when you do this correctly, step number 3 happens easily. And here's a misconception, Martin, that a lot of people make. I work with a lot of celebrities. And this is in celebrity, it's different for celebrities, but let's say I'm working with somebody like in the NBA or somebody that, was known back in the day. And I have to educate them on this all the time, because they think that in their prime time, in their fame, that everybody remembers them. But the problem with that is that time is passing and new people are coming into the ecosystem. So they need to be educated on who you are and what you've done, right? So what I tell people is, I'm like, look, in order for you to build value in any market, if you're going to reinvent yourself or rebrand yourself, you got to be willing to go through what I call the 4 steps of breakthrough over again, because you got to be willing to do the work. Just because you're famous in this area doesn't mean that this other market knows you. So if you're going to switch markets, you got to be willing to literally start at 0, right? So here's how it goes. Again, just to recap, get the right education, you get the clarity on what systems you need to develop, what assets you need to have in place. Step number 2 will always lead to step number 3, which is influence. That's step number 3, influence. And then within influence, we have the 4 steps of breakthrough. Now, here's how it goes. I love using a seed as an example. If I were to take a seed and I were to plant it in the ground, the first thing that seed has to do is it has to go into the darkness where nobody sees it. It has to go into obscurity and dark. It has to be willing to do the work in the darkness where nobody sees it. That's step number 1. And a lot of people don't want to do that. A lot of people just want to be instantly exposed to the light, but it doesn't work that way. We have to go into the secret. We have to go into the dark, and we got to do the work where nobody sees us. You're doing your business plan. You're doing the research. You're doing the market, the research, right? You're doing everything. You're working hard. You're working on your plan. You're picking up the phones. You're marketing. You're speaking. You're doing That's the work that you have to be willing to do in the beginning. Now, once you do that work, then you hit step number 2 in the 4 steps of breakthrough. Step number 2 has to do with resistance. Now, resistance is one of the best gifts that we can ask for, Martin. Why? Because as a child, when I grew up through all that resistance, it helped me develop a certain mindset and a certain belief that has served me today. When a seed is growing and it's budding, right, and it's growing and it has to bypass all the weight of the ground, the dirt that is over it, right? It has to push through it, right? It's kind of like when you go out to the gym and you pick up a 100-pound dumbbell, right? And you're working out, you gotta tear your muscle because that's how you grow, right? So that bud has to go through the dirt and it has to push through all that ground, that pressure. Then it has to bypass some rocks, right? That's the level of resistance. And here's the reality, Martin. 85% of people, they give up in the area of resistance, or they're going around in circles, going back to the law of conditions. They're going around in circles and they stay stuck in that resistance stage, right? But if you're able to persevere, if you're able to have resilience, if you're able to continue to press forward, and you've reached step number 3, which is the level of light. It's when the light hits you, the sunlight now hits you, the resistance gets off your back. So now the pressure that you've been training under, I'm speaking to somebody, Martin, the pressure that you've been training under, the 100-pound dumbbell, the stress that you've been under now gets removed from you. And now you're literally picking up weights like they're easy because now you finally hit some light and you don't have that weight over you. And now you're going to grow, you're going to excel. And then you'll hit step number 4, which is acceleration. I'm speaking to somebody here, Martin. And that's what happens. Those are the 4 steps of breakthrough that you need to be willing to go through if you want to grow in any market. And that's how you actually build the influence in that market, whether you're looking to serve in government and politics, media, business, arts and entertainment, family, education, or media. If I didn't say that, those are the 7 mountains of purpose or 7 mountains of influence. Whatever mountain you're looking to serve in, you got to be willing to go through those 4 steps so you can build the influence. And here's the kicker. The way to impact always, the thing that always comes before is influence. And after you have influence, you'll unlock step number 4, which is income generation or monetization. You'll have the resources to then make an impact. That's the last principle that I taught there. I taught a couple other ones. But with those 3 principles, as long as you meditate on them, you take action on them, I promise you that your life, the quality of your life will improve, the quality of your business will improve, and you'll be able to accomplish your goals in less time. Now, of course, Martin, you asked me offline, where can people learn more about what we do and our laws? Here's what I'm going to do, Martin, for your group, because you are a very special man and I want to be able to give something different and unique for this group. Now, if you're loving the principles that you just learned and you want to learn more on how you can apply those principles in your business, especially when it comes to pertaining growing online and using speaking, I have a gift for you. This is something we typically charge for, but I'm going to go ahead and give you these 2 gifts. Number 1, if you find me on my website, IsraelDuran.com, that's IsraelDuran.com, you go to my Instagram, okay? You go to my Instagram social media. If you direct message me the word blueprint, okay? Blueprint, all one word, I will go ahead and gift you my online business blueprint that is literally responsible for me growing my business to where I've grown it and have helped me help others grow theirs as well. And it's going to be at no charge, right? So this is something we simply sell for. But as long as you use the word blueprint, we'll gift it to you for free. And here's what I'm going to do as well. Some of you are going to have questions. Some of you are going to ask, Israel, I get it. I love the content, but how do I implement it for my situation? I'm going through this. I'm going through that. There's no way for me to be able to help all of you with a blueprint, right? In terms of customization. So for those of you that have questions and you want to get clarity on your questions when it comes to pertaining to our principles and our framework, what I'm also going to do is open up a couple slots on my team's calendar for you to also apply for a strategy session where we can then work with you directly, give you some value, answer any questions that you have, and give you that custom approach, because we all know that a custom suit always fits better than one off the rack. And that's a free gift. Again, go to IsraelDuran.com, find my Instagram account, direct message me the word blueprint, and we'll shoot it over.
'21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.
Imagine a space where triumphs, trials, and tales of entrepreneurship come alive. Welcome to the 21st Century Entrepreneurship Podcast, a gold awarded journey hosted by Martin Piskorik, connecting with listeners in 95 countries and ranking in the top 0.5% of all podcasts. Join our exclusive community, elevate your perspective, and embark on the path to success.